Now it's time to look at DC circuits, and I'm going to start by introducing DC circuits without capacitors. And I'm going to use a mind map software for this. So in the center we have DC circuits, no capacitors. The first thing I'm going to look at are different circuit elements. For example, we have wires, something called an EMF, resistors, switch, and you could guess that a capacitor is another circuit element, and that's true. I guess I can include it here. But I'm not going to actually talk about capacitors in this chapter. That'll be in the next section. There's enough already to look at without looking at capacitors first. And if your teacher or your prof explains it in a different order, that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Two other things we're going to look at are actually devices that we use to measure things about a circuit. So the first one is an ammeter, and the next one is a voltmeter. After introducing the circuit elements, I'll take a quick look at lab skills because there are some easy things that you can do that tend to hold up a bunch of students. So might as well get those out of the way right away, and then you can boost your grades even sooner. Sounds good, right? The main thing that I'm going to talk about here is how to use an ammeter and a voltmeter. For the first version, the core version of this course, I'm going to leave it like that. But after the core content is done, I'm going to come back and optimize things and add a few things. And I expect that I'll add a few more tips about lab skills to help you out. The next thing to look at is something called equivalent resistance. And this applies for resistors that are in series and for resistors that are in parallel. We'll also take a look at some things called Kirchhoff's laws, where we have the current law, which is sometimes called the junction rule. And then we have the voltage law, which is sometimes called the loop rule. And to close out this chapter on DC circuits without capacitors, we'll look at the ideal versus a real EMF. This is another topic that confuses a lot of students, and there are some key concepts that you can do, really just an approach you can take that makes sure that this is pretty easy to handle. But of course, it depends on a good foundation and everything else.